Miller Park in Milwaukee. The series between the Brewers and the Los Angeles Dodgers continues. And if it's anything like last night, we are in for another treat. Big come-from-behind win for the Brew Crew last night against Clayton Kershaw and company. And now the winning streak is at 3, looking for 4 here this evening. Good evening from Miller Park. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Matt LePay. Sophia Minard is our reporter. And Rock, in this winning streak, we're seeing it step by step. This Brewers offense is now starting to come alive a little bit.
Yeah, and starting to hit some home runs. I mean, the Brewers had 3 home runs for it seemed like an eternity. Now they're starting to swing the bats a little bit. And the Brewers, when they hit home runs, they score runs and have a pretty good chance to win. You can see what they've done in the last 3 games. 3 home runs. They've averaged 5 runs a game, and doing it last night against the game's best. Clayton Kershaw, Cy Young Award MVP, left-handers getting it done. Gerardo Parra, Adam Lind really chiming in. Hector Gomez getting it done with a home run. The bottom of the order yesterday, including the 2 pinch hitters, 5 hits. Ryan Braun with that little dribble to third base ended up plating the winning run for Milwaukee. So things are starting to turn around for this ball club. Carlos Gomez back. Scooter Gennett returns today.
It was a dramatic way for Craig Counsell to begin his managerial career. Got through Kershaw, and now it's Greinke. We'll get more on tonight's LA starter from Craig and Augie as we continue on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
On all your home improvement needs. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. Starting pitchers tonight, Zach Greinke and Matt Garza. Matt Garza has never faced Greinke in his 10-year career, coming off a nice win against the Reds. He kind of kick-started this run where the Brewers have won 5 of their last 8. Of course, Greinke spent 2 years here, Augie, and owned Miller Park. Didn't matter who came in here. They won our T-Mobile Game Changer. Look at his record in his career at Miller Park. Those 2 losses, though, have come since he's been traded away. The Brewers have hit him pretty hard here. Must be the lack of good coffee when he's on the road. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know if it's the coffee, Craig, but I'll tell you, the Brewers have been able to do 3 things against Zach Greinke. First of all, they've been able to work the count, making Zach work a little bit harder, getting to good hitters counts. Secondly, they've had willingness to hit the ball to all fields. Get a pitch to hit it where it's pitched, take what you're given. And lastly, we talk about an opportunity against a good pitcher. Getting an opportunity to score some runs, scoring those runs, driving the runs in, getting guys on base, very important.
I think all coffee houses collected in Milwaukee and said, let's give him some bad brew. Well, the Brewers have hit him pretty hard. We'll see if they can do it one more time here tonight as they go for a 4th consecutive win, trying to take out another Dodger ace. Enjoy it.
Here at Miller Park, looking to even his record and extend his team's overall winning streak to 4 games. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. Need the roof closed here, and that's why. A little chilly, a little sprinkly here in the Milwaukee area today, but that's why we have the roof at Miller Park. There will be baseball. The Brewers and Los Angeles Dodgers, Don Mattingly's team, had its winning streak snapped at 4 games last night. Dramatic fashion. The Brewers rallied from a 3-0 deficit to defeat the Dodgers. And let's take a look at the L.A. batting order presented by Potawatomi. Jock Peterson again at the top of the order, followed by Jimmy Rollins and Howie Kendrick. Adrian Gonzalez, Justin Turner will play third tonight. Andre Ethier back and right. Yasmani Grandal had a big night last night. Alex Guerrero, the Rookie of the Month in the National League. Zach Greinke rounding out the order, facing Matt Garza.
Well, Matt Garza 2-3 so far this year, a .460 earned run average. Has never faced the Los Angeles Dodgers in his long career, although he has faced 4 of the hitters in the starting lineup for LA before. And let's check out the Brewers Menards defense behind Matt Garza tonight. Good to have Gene Segura back in the lineup. Segura missed a couple of games after getting hit in the head in Chicago. Scooter Gennett, coming off the disabled list, makes a start at second base. So the Brewers starting to become a little bit more at full strength.
Getting closer and closer to that opening day lineup. Paul Emmel will call the balls and strikes here tonight. Jordan Baker is over at first. Andy Fletcher, there he is at second. And the crew chief Over at third this evening is Jerry Meals. As we are ready to roll, the Brewers and the Dodgers, and man, what a game it was last night. Brewers falling behind 3-0 and against Clayton Kershaw. That generally means a loss, but the Brewers rallied, not just against Kershaw, but scored against the LA bullpen. Chris Hatcher specifically. They had thrown 26 straight scoreless innings.
Yeah, and the bottom of the Brewers order, Hector Gomez with a big home run, a couple of hits, 2 pinch hitters coming off the bench, coming up big for the Brewers.
Nothing like getting your first big league homer against Kershaw. Homer and a triple, a first against the 3-time Cy Young winner. As we are set to go, game 2 of this series. As the Brewers riding a 3-game winning streak here. They've won 4 of their last 5, going back to last Wednesday afternoon in Cincinnati. And getting some very timely hitting, good pitching, terrific work out of the bullpen. First pitch to Peterson is taken outside, and we're underway at Miller Park.
Yeah, last time out, Matt Garza had a terrific slider. He won at Cincinnati, an 8-3 victory for Milwaukee. Well, had only 2 runs in 6 2/3 innings, so Garza able to pitch into the 7th.
And then the bullpen takes over, and it has been a very, very effective pen of late. Peterson leading off again. He's hit at that spot in the order for about a week, and he has gone deep for LA in the first inning twice in that role, including last night against Kyle Loesch. Dodgers are the best power hitting team in the National League with 39 home runs, 7 coming from Peterson. Mattingly's team a lot different looking in spots than it was a year ago. Better defensively. A lot of experience, especially in the infield, and a bright young player in Jock Peterson, who plays center and leads off. And the count is 2-2.
And as usual, good pitching staff. Dodgers up amongst leaders in team earned run average this year. In team ERA, team batting average, runs scored, defense, which is why they're at the top of the West.
Fourth in ERA coming in. Clayton Kershaw, who missed on his latest attempt for his 100th career win. He'll get there, but fortunately for the Brewers, it will come against someone else. As a 3-0 lead got away, the Brewers, a big 8th inning. Had that each of the last 2 games. Peterson out on strikes, and that's how the night begins for Matt Garza.
Yeah, good fastball by Garza. He's had a good fastball his last couple of times out. Exploding out of his hand, good finish on it, and right where he wants it, outer half, and looked like Peterson tried to pull it.
So a good start for Garza. And as Rock mentioned, this is the first time that Garza has faced the Dodgers in this, his 227th big league appearance. Rollins trying to lay one down, and Garza is there, and the flip over to first, and quickly there are 2 men out. Jimmy Rollins, who has not had success against Garza, trying to bunt his way aboard, but not able to scoop it and make the play.
Boy, hitters hate that. Bunting on the first pitch, and right back to Garza, who's able to make an easy flip to first.
2 outs with the bases empty. We mentioned Rollins has struggled against Garza. Different story for Howie Kendrick. It's the first time that Garza has faced the Dodgers team, but he has faced a handful of hitters before, as Kendrick coming over after 9 years with the Angels. And he is 7 for 12 against Matt in his at-bats against the Brewers starter.
Yeah, with a home run. 7 for 12, pretty incredible. The only other 2 guys that have faced Garza, Adrian Gonzalez and Turner, but combined only 5 at-bats between the 2 of them.
There's Gonzalez, who waits on deck. Brewers were able to avoid him last night. Francisco Rodriguez coming on to get the save. Face the top of that Dodgers order. Same 3 as at the top of the order tonight. Peterson, Rollins, and Kendrick. Had a couple of strikeouts and preserved that 1-run win for Milwaukee. The ball, 2 strikes to Kendrick. To right field. There's Braun. Good first inning for Matt Garza. 1, 2, 3. Go the Dodgers. Now time for Gomez to go to work. Craig Counsell, the veteran Brewers manager, 1-0 after the win last night. In a terrific game. Ready to see his team take its first hacks against Zach Greinke. Here's the Brewers batting order presented by Potawatomi. Carlos Gomez, Gerardo Parra, Ryan Braun at the top. Adam Lind hits cleanup, followed by Aramis Ramirez and Scooter Gennett. Segura, Maldonado, and Garza rounding out the order, facing Zach Greinke.
Off to a very good start. 2+ seasons with the Dodgers. Greinke 36-12 and a .262 earned run average. He's won his last 9 decisions in a row dating back to last year.
Yeah, last year and against the Brewers here at Miller Park. Terrific pitcher, terrific record, but 0-2 against the Crew. Took a loss last August 9th. And has not taken a bump since. Carlos Gomez had a hit and made it count. Drove in a run last night and scored what proved to be the winning run. And the Ryan Braun broken bat roller bouncer to third. And Braun was able to leg out as Gomez scored from third.
Well, maybe the Brewers starting to get a few breaks.
Well, let's hope that's the case, as they have, in the course of this streak, for the course of the first month when they really struggled, clearly played poorly much of the time, but at times when they hit the ball hard, it would be right at somebody. There would be great defensive plays, but this time the Brewers offense came to life, the bottom of the order specifically, and then the top of the order delivered when it mattered most, as Gomez lifts a shallow pop into right field, shallow right field, handled by Howie Kendrick, and there's the first out of the inning.
Yeah, the Menards Dodgers defense got a couple of changes in the lineup. Left field, you got Alex Guerrero. At third base, Justin Turner. A relatively good defensive unit for a big departure from last year, where the Dodgers were next to last in defense. They're third this year, only 14 errors.
And much different looking middle infield, and you have Peterson out there, Justin Turner playing third base here tonight. Had a terrific year last year at the plate to Turner. I'll tell you more about that when he has his first plate appearance here this evening. Here's Gerardo Parra, and boy has he been good of late. Pinch hits in each of his last 4 appearances, including last night.
Average up to 274. Big base hit in yesterday's ball game.
Curve misses. 1-1 to Parra. In the lineup tonight is Gerardo Parra in for Chris Davis.
Yeah, if you're thinking it's because it's a lefty righty type thing, it's not, because Greinke, he's good against both left-handers and right-handers. Opponent batting average under 200 against both.
And Parra lines one foul. He's actually handled Greinke reasonably well, actually better than reasonably well. 8 for 24 against the Dodgers right-hander.
Yep, this time with the Diamondbacks, these guys faced each other quite a bit.
Parra with his latest offensive, if you want to call it a surge, he certainly delivered as a pinch hitter. 8 for his last 16. And making terrific plays per usual in the outfield. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Just getting started. Dodgers put down in order in the top half of the first. Brewers getting their first cuts here tonight. Greinke ready with the 2-2.
Man, Greinke's going to throw 4 different pitches, and with his fastball, throw a number of different speeds. You know, fastball to a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer. Throws a lot of changeups to left-handed batters, but most of the changeups that Greinke throws are out of the strike zone, so you got to be patient with them. A lot of sliders and curveballs, so he mixes it up pretty well.
As a full count to Gerardo Parra. And that is strike 3 called. And Gerardo begs to differ.
Yeah, already a bigger strike zone for Paul Emmel than last night with Jerry Meals. Jerry Meals a tight zone. And that one borderline, and Paul Emmel rings it up. A little too close to take with 2 strikes.
2 outs in the first. Greinke turned in terrific work in his time with the Brewers. 16-6 A terrific 2011 season. Two-time All-Stars, Greinke, last year in 09. The year he won the Cy Young Award. Here's Ryan Braun. Game-winning RBI last night. Bit ironic that it came on an infield hit. Over the last week, he has had 6 hits. 4 have been homers.
He's had a lot more dramatic hits to win games, but none more important than getting the first game of this series.
Yeah, it's one you remember. And hopefully it's the start, or actually this team has been playing a little better of late. The continuation of something that can become a bit of a role for this club. When we play 162 games, they can run together. But last night was one of those separators, and you can come from behind against Clayton Kershaw. Greinke with a 1-1.
I guess the big home runs that he hit in 2008 and 2011 when the Brewers are getting to the postseason, probably more dramatic and important than that one last night. The more I think about it,
so I would think so.
I'd take it back.
But the context of where the ball club is and what's been going on,
right.
I think we know where you're coming from. Yeah, those are home runs that even if you weren't here, you're going to tell your friends you were. That got the whole place jumping. 2 balls, 2 strikes. But it was a fun one last night, make no mistake. The 2-2. A little chopper. And Greinke, who was the Gold Glove winner for his position last year, fields, and that's it for the Brewers. They too put down in order. We're through 1 at Miller Park. Top of the second here at Miller Park, and time to take a look at our DraftKings players to watch for tonight. Certainly, you always want to watch Carlos Gomez, Jock Peterson, one of the bright young stars. How about that start for Nelson Cruz with the Mariners, and Paul Goldschmidt? Seeing him, you know he can flat hit, and he's doing it and then some over the last 6 games.
14 homers.
Yeah, that is extreme. 8 leads the National League. Adrian Gonzalez.
That ballpark in Seattle, not a bandbox at all.
No.
I mean, you got to hit him.
It's 14 leading the AL. The 8 long balls for Gonzalez along with Todd Frazier. That's the best in the National League. Look at the box score last night. You see a lot of zeros by Gonzalez. No official at bats. Walked 3 times, was hit by a pitch.
Man, you can't blame him, right? The Brewers, one of the hottest hitters in baseball.
He is 3rd in the National League with his .362 average. Kyle Loesch able to, or being careful against Gonzalez.
He's been in the top 10 in just about every category offensively so far this year,
including leading the league in slugging, a clip of .723. And he has really enjoyed his time over the years at Miller Park, which is all the more reason to be careful against him. He has hit .406 here at Miller Park. And he leads off the second inning for the Dodgers. And the count is full to the LA first baseman. Dodgers come in 16-9, by the way, leading the pack by 3 in the West. Mattingly watched his team win 94 times last year in the regular season. Got knocked out in postseason play by the Cardinals. And Garza loses Gonzalez. A leadoff walk here in the second.
Yeah, just missed that outside corner. You're not going to see Gonzalez swing out of the zone too often. Good eye at the plate. That last one didn't miss by much.
Dodgers collectively a very patient team, willing to take the walk. Here's Justin Turner, and off to a pretty good start at the plate. He was very good last year to the tune of .340. But had crazy numbers with runners in scoring position when he had the opportunity. Turner last year hit .419 with runners in scoring position, 26 for 62.
Playing third base today, it was Juan Uribe in yesterday's ball game,
who, by the way, extended his hitting streak to 13 games. Veteran off to a nice start here for the Dodgers, but not in the lineup tonight. Dodgers team with an interesting blend, a ton of experience. The over 30 club in the infield. It's the lineup they can give you, but they have a young star in Peterson, Alex Guerrero, who's playing left field tonight. Rookie of the month for April in the National League. 2-strike pitch to Turner.
And again, you want to get your bench guys, in the game and get them off the bench. You get a long road trip far away from home. This is the first time that the Dodgers have been away from the Pacific time zone, so a little bit of fatigue might set in. So Mattingly mixing it up, changing the lineup up a little bit tonight.
And before they flew out to Milwaukee, they had a 13-inning game that took 4 hours on Sunday with the Diamondbacks. As they say, sometimes it could be that second day when it sets in.
Yep, I believe that. More importantly, when you're going west to east, that's when it gets you the most. Not so much the other way around.
In the case of the Dodgers, you lose that time. A ball, 2 strikes to Justin Turner. And that's going to fall into center field, a base hit. So the first 2 Dodgers reach in inning number 2.
Yeah, good piece of hitting by Turner. That pitch down and in. He just golfed it into center field. Pulled the hands in, got the barrel of the bat on it. Garza got ahead of him 0-2. Couldn't put him away. Stand straight up and watch it. Just all hands. That high leg kick, good balance. The key to that high leg kick is making sure that front foot is down before you start your swing. And that's what he did.
So runners at first and second. The Dodgers here in the top half of inning number 2. Here's Andre Ethier. Had a hit, scored a run last night. LA mounting a threat here early this evening. Curve is slapped foul.
Yeah, we talked about Garza in his last couple of starts. Been very impressed the coaching staff was with his slider his last couple of times out. Fastball had good location, good movement, had some zip on it, and the slider very good. Rick Kranitz feeling as though Garza is starting to make some progress and is turning into some results.
Matt looking to even his record, 2-3 coming in. And that last start against the Reds, that was another game where the 8th inning was good for the Brewers. Here in this last week, they've been all about the 8th inning. Scored 5 in that game at Cincinnati last Wednesday afternoon, 4 coming on a Ryan Braun grand slam. After Sunday against the Cubs, the Brewers broke a tie with 2 runs in the 8th. And last night, 3 runs in the 8th to catch and eventually pass L.A.
Sitting down in the on the field doing batting practice, kind of in for a survey. How many 3-run leads has Clayton Kershaw given up in his career? I don't think too many.
Can't be many. Gave up a 2-run lead in the playoffs to the Cardinals. Matt Adams had a big 3-run homer. There's a roller to short. Segura, there's one on to first, and not in time. Runners at first and third.
Yeah, it took Scooter a while to get there, and because of that, really couldn't set himself as he wanted. He had him shaded a little bit in the hole. By the time he gets there, his momentum keeps him from making the perfect throw. Couldn't get a whole lot on it.
Scooter Gennett back with the Brewers after his rehab assignment with the Class A Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. Cut his hand in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. That's what put him on the 15-day DL. Back in the lineup tonight. Here's Yasmani Grandal. The Brewers have had all kinds of trouble getting this guy out. First as a Padre and now as a Dodger. He was 3 for 4 last night. And he's 7 for his last 12. His last 3 matchups with Milwaukee. Part of that trade that involved Matt Kemp back in the offseason. It's the 1-0.
Pretty good catcher with a very good bat. Switch hitter. His 3 hits in yesterday's ball game all hit right on the nose.
It was 2 years ago in July when Grandal tore up his knee, torn ACL in a collision at the plate with Anthony Rendon of the Washington Nationals. Here, even with all the advances in the medical profession, it still makes sense that it would be that second year back off of such an injury where you feel close to 100%.
Yeah, that mental thing to get over is a lot more difficult sometimes than the physical.
2 balls, 1 strike to Grandal. Thanks in his hot streak against the Brewers. He is 7 for his last 9. Maybe for the Dodgers last handful of games. This is lifted in foul territory, and Ramirez will run out of room. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the Dodgers catcher. There's a walked Adrian Gonzalez to lead off this inning. Justin Turner with a single to center. Andre Ethier hit into a force at second. That's how the Dodgers have him at first and third. Game 2 of 4 between the Brewers and L.A. Team the Crew handled last year and got off to a good start in the season series last night. A swing and a miss. Strike 3.
Yeah, there's that slider, a big one for Garza with a man at third base. That's the pitch that Rick Kranitz has been saying has been a good one lately.
Two men out here in the second inning, and here's Alex Guerrero.
Yeah, the Brewers went into L.A. last year and swept them. 3-game series. It was a good road trip for the Crew. Chicago, L.A.
Won 5 out of the 6 matchups against the Dodgers. Now here's the Rookie of the Month in the National League for April, Alex Guerrero, as he has shown some serious pop in his bat. He has had 33 at-bats. In fact, in his first 26, he homered 5 times.
Good start.
Very good start.
Yeah, this Dodger team can swing the bats. I mean, make no mistake. I mean, every one of these guys that comes up there, big time averages up around 300 or close. Led by that guy there.
Takes his lead off third. Ethier, the runner at first. Here's the 0-1. Guerrero playing left field tonight. He can also play third. Dodgers are well stocked at that position. Last year it was the outfield. They're trying to find time for everybody. Now it's a little more of an infield, if you want to call it a problem, which I don't think Don Mattingly would.
No.
The challenge for those guys to get some playing time. 1-2 to count.
And you have a pretty good catcher, a backup catcher in A.J. Ellis. I mean, he was a starter for a while here. Randall comes over, and Mattingly's got a pretty deep bench, although he's only got 4 guys on the bench right now. 9 guys in his bullpen.
The bullpen outside of Kenley Jansen, who is still recovering from his foot injury, but last year, outside of him, that was where the Dodgers got caught a little short, especially in postseason. And one of the areas the franchise wanted to retool a bit, but they retooled in a lot of areas, but what you're looking at now is a big part of it in the bullpen, which had been very good, is good. But last night the Brewers got to Chris Hatcher, snapping a string of 26 straight scoreless innings out of the Dodger pen. Guerrero from Cuba signed his free agent deal with the Dodgers a couple of years ago. 27 years old. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Adams swinging. Good work by Garza. Dodgers had a threat. Back-to-back strikeouts from Garza. He remains scoreless in Milwaukee. Inning at Miller Park, and it is time for our Carsoup.com trivia question. Who are the 3 pitchers in Miller Park history with a winning percentage of better than 800 out of a minimum of 10 starting assignments? Give us 3 pitchers in Miller Park history with a winning percentage of greater than 800. You need at least 10 starts to qualify.
Right. 8 out of 10. That's pretty good.
That's real good. Adam Lind, Aramis Ramirez, Scooter Gennett, 4, 5, and 6 in the order. Lind had that big pinch double last night in the 8th inning. He followed Hector Gomez, who began the frame with his first career homer off of Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, Zach Greinke was asked why he does so well here at Miller Park. You remember when he was with the Brewers? He just said, I like the coffee here. They have good coffee.
So that's the key.
That's kind of the joke that was going around. I know Craig and Augie were talking about the coffee situation, and a typical Zach Greinke response. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek answer.
The foul pop. Justin Turner is squeezed for out number 1. Maybe they've changed the coffee. He's struggled since he left the Brewers.
Yeah, get a little bit weaker, maybe. Hey, tonight's time of the game winner. Bob and Joni's Northern Lights in White Lake. That's just east of Anago.
Yes, it is.
Anago, Wisconsin. You been there?
Yes, I have.
Okay. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
It's good to explore the state, as you know, Rob.
What brought you there? What took you to
Anago? There's a base hit for Aramis Ramirez. Changing the subject.
So
quickly.
not White Lake.
Not yet. But as I learned about these spots here in the Tavern of the Game. Again, the obligation to visit as much of the state of Wisconsin as you can. Let's put that on the list.
Yeah,
we go.
And there's taverns there, so it's
absolutely. Good. So I'm in.
We're in.
Here's Scooter Gennett. It's a nice welcome back to the Brewers. Well, a team is struggling when you get hurt in various ways, and it was Gennett getting cut after a game with the Pirates. Cut his hand in the shower.
Yeah.
Required stitches and needed a little time, or not a little time, time on the 15-day disabled list, and then a rehab assignment with the Timber Rattlers. That's some good at-bats. The Class A affiliate went 4 for 13.
Yeah, it's going to be important for Scooter to come back after being hurt and start to swing the bat like he did a year ago. Got a couple of guys breathing down his neck right now. Hector Gomez, the Brewers like him. He's had some good games. Elian Herrera needs to start swinging the bat.
Big night. Imagine you'd have trouble sleeping after hitting your first career home run against anybody, but Clayton Kershaw's not just anybody. And it was a significant home run, too. It wasn't as though it was a blowout one way or the other. It pulled the Brewers to within 1 and was a great start to what was a terrific 8th inning against the best around, the 3-time Cy Young winner.
Yeah, Kershaw had a tough time at the bottom of the order. Even Kyle Loesch with a base hit.
Did. It was the first hit of the game for the Crew. 2-1 to Gennett. Ramirez the runner at first. Yeah, that was a game that turned on a dime, or so it seemed. Kershaw was rolling.
It just seemed like he wasn't able to locate that fastball that likes to throw inside the right-hander. Started to leave some out over the plate. And the Brewers took advantage. They had some good swings. Still not a bad outing.
Nope, no walks. You see the strikeout total he had in just 91 pitches. But his career win total stands at 99. 3-1 to Gennett. Dodgers had a threat at the top of the inning. Garza turned him away. Brewers trying to get a little something going after a foul pop from Adam Lind. Base hit to left from Aramis Ramirez, and now a full count to Scooter Gennett. Strike 3 called. Those strikeouts looking here early on for Zach Greinke.
Yeah, he's got that one working, doesn't he? That same pitch that Gerardo Parra took for strike 3, right on the edge on the outside corner, identical. Brewers are going to have to be trying to foul that one off as the game goes on. Greinke with impeccable location so far in this game.
Off to a 4-0 start, a 193 earned run average. And now he'll face Gene Segura. And man for about a minute or so, maybe a couple on Sunday. Didn't know if we'd be seeing him in the lineup anytime soon when he took that pitch to the helmet from Pedro Strop, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And he went from someone who looked like he could be seriously hurt to someone for a moment or so looked like he was going to continue in the game, but did in fact come out. Here's what happened.
Yeah, hit him right on the logo in the helmet. Very fortunate that it didn't get him actually in the face. So those new helmets that Major League Baseball has incorporated last couple of years that I think saves him that time.
Yeah, I really thought at first look that he got it in the face, but as you said, that helmet saved him. He came out of the game. They went through all the protocol, sat out last night as a precaution, but right back in there tonight. Remember, on Saturday against the Cubs, he went 4 for 5. There's that average now at 289. Greinke with a 1-2.
He's done a nice job staying back, much better than he did a year ago.
He's driven in 10, and for a team that hasn't run a lot here early in the season, when he's gotten on base, he's stolen 5 bags in 6 tries. Ramirez, the runner at first. First hit of the game for the Brew Crew. And that is just foul down the line.
That's an example of what I'm talking about right there. You stay back, just throw the hands at that baseball, cover the outside corner, nearly got himself an extra base hit. Let the ball get to you. Stay back, let it get to you, and just put the same swing on it. Sounds easy, doesn't it?
It does. Sounds easy.
It's anything but. Sometimes it's very difficult to trust those hands. Just stay back and drop the hands on the baseball. You feel as though you want the body to do the work. That's the last thing you want.
Rondal has to go down and block it. Two balls, 2 strikes.
31 pitches for Zack Greinke. He had a tough time with his pitch count his last time out.
Yeah, 110 in 6 innings. That workload his heaviest of the season through the first 5 outings.
It was a win against the Giants, and the Giants were able to mount some rallies, but Greinke able to get out of most of them. Allowed only 3 runs in those 6 innings.
Struck out 6 in that game. All of his decisions winning ones. His first outing had a no decision and a loss to the Padres. But since joining the Dodgers a couple of years ago, he is 36-12. Here's the 3-2, and that is well hit. Center field. Peterson coming on, and he dropped the ball. Rounding third. Here comes Ramirez. He is in, and the Brewers are first on the board.
I'm not sure what happened there, but the Brewers will take it. Can't believe that ball wasn't caught. He completely fooled out there with Peterson. He went back and then came in and just missed it. Not sure how they're going to score this one. And Segura got it toward the end of the bat. There's no way you got to let that one drop. Took a bad route on it and then he dropped it. But a run in for the Brewers.
Looked totally fooled. Maybe.
So he's looking at the lights, maybe.
Yep.
Didn't see the ball out of the lights, but that was just a terrible route. And then he clanked it.
And they will rule that an error. Segura at second. Brewers take the 1-0 lead. And here's Maldonado to left field, and that will be caught at the edge of the track by Alex Guerrero. And the Brewers get the first run of the night. Little help for the Dodgers defense.
III, and today Shatterproof hosted the Shatterproof Challenge in downtown Milwaukee, where approximately 40 participants rappelled down the side of the Hilton Hotel. At Miller Park, Brewers Community Foundation presented a grant to the organization. Staff is here tonight at Miller Park distributing literature to raise awareness for the cause. And one of those staff members at Shatterproof, Nancy Palo, is here. She is the National Vice President of Community Empowerment with Shatterproof. And Nancy, the Rappel Challenge is a great event in itself. It raised more than $50,000 for your organization. But how does it go towards battling addiction and raising awareness for your organization?
Our organization's goal is to protect our children from addiction to alcohol and other drugs and end the stigma and suffering of those affected by this disease. The Rappelling Challenge really helps us focus on that ending the stigma. Everyone that signs up to Rappel at any one of our events across America makes a commitment to share their story and how addiction touches their lives. And the more we talk about it, the more we change the conversation and get the support that the addiction community needs.
And you do this all across the country. Milwaukee, just one of 26 cities. And how important is it to see that outreach across the country?
Oh, it's vital to our success. Again, it gets everyone in every community talking. It gives the addiction community something to do. You feel so powerless when someone you love is touched by addiction. And the ability to sign up and accept the challenge and challenge you to get over your fear of talking about addiction, your fear of fundraising, because it is a fundraising event, and then that ultimate fear of stepping over the edge to rappel down a building, like you well know.
Yeah, it's. I did the Shatterproof Challenge last year. It is very scary, but it's a great event, and we're very happy to have Shatterproof here celebrating with us at Miller Park.
Sophia, Nancy, thank you very much. And of course, I thank them for not asking us if we were going to do that, go down the building. That is not.
Can't do that. Very supportive of the cause, but
yes,
I'm not going to go that far.
I understand. That is great work that Nancy and everyone involved has done and continue to do. Zach Greinke with a comebacker that Garza was there for to begin this third inning, and now top of the order to Jock Peterson.
Yeah, Greinke can swing the bat a little bit. He's not an easy out up there at the plate.
Yeah, 4 career homers, 2 as a Brewer. Big swing and a miss from the Dodgers center fielder. Take a look at Greinke. Well, they love him over there, and why not? With 36 wins and 48 decisions.
Yeah. Off to a great start this year.
Peterson struck out to begin the game. He has homered in 4 of his last 5 games for the Dodgers. LA had a threat in the second inning. Runners at the corners with 1 out, but Garza was able to get strikeouts of Grandal and Alex Guerrero. Matt with 3 strikeouts early on. Peterson, someone, as we mentioned last night, as good as he is, was charged with an error in the last inning out in center, but a good center fielder, but he is prone to strike out.
He struck out his last 3 at bats.
He was fanned 31 times in 74 at bats through the first month. The 2-2 pitch. Just got a piece.
Yeah, hung that slider. That one got Paul Emmel. Home plate umpire, look out. Right in the shoulder.
Ooh.
A glancing blow, not going to hurt him.
Didn't flinch. And if it hurts, he's not going to show it.
No.
Hands on hips, ready to go. Again, the 2-2.
He was wearing eyeglasses over at first base last night. Must be the contacts tonight.
Yep, going without the glasses with the mask. Hey, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Matt Garza ready with the 3-2. And Peterson draws a walk. Second given up by Matt Garza. 1 out, 1 on here in the third. Hey, tonight, Fox Sports Live will get you caught up with a full night of NHL and NBA playoff action, plus highlights on tonight's Major League Baseball games. You can see Fox Sports Live tonight, 10 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. You'll see it simulcast right here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Jimmy Rollins tried to bunt his way on in the first inning, but Garza was there to field it and make the play. Rollins, a decade and a half with the Philadelphia Phillies, was the MVP of this league back in 2007. What a year it was. Only 30 times, hit .296. 3-time All-Star and a 4-time Gold Glover. And made a real impressive defensive play last night. Backhanding a ground ball deep into the hole. There's a fly ball hit back into left field. There's Gerardo Parra tracking it. And that's the second out of the inning.
Yeah, playing shallow. Jimmy Rollins gave that one a pretty good ride, but didn't fool Parra. That's some pretty good pop in that bat still. Not a big guy, but boy, he generates some bat speed.
A couple of home runs for him so far this year. 2 outs with a runner at first for Howie Kendrick. Line to left to end the first inning. Dodgers changing up that middle infield. Some exciting prospects and looking for the veterans to kind of hold the fort for the next year or so. There's a bouncing ball to Segura, and the play will be at first, and that'll do it for the Dodgers here in the third. A walk, but nothing more. Bottom of the third we go. 1-0 Brewers. Milwaukee, second game of the series at Miller Park. A little while ago, our Carsoup.com trivia question: who are the 3 pitchers in Miller Park history with a winning percentage of greater than 800? 10 starts minimum to get there. You're looking at one of them, and CC Sabathia, and maybe one that catches you by surprise, Mario Vargas.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have had Claudio in that mix.
Had a couple of good curveballs in our Carsoup.com trivia question. Dropping a little Terry Francona Brewer knowledge on you last night.
That's right, yeah. 2 pitchers that had a big impact on Brewers baseball. Zach Greinke, CC Sabathia. Sabathia having a rough time over there in New York.
Yeah, we saw him here last year, and then shut him down for a while with the knee injury. 0-2 the count to Garza, and this is popped up, and Kendrick will take care of it. First out of the inning. Back to the top of the order, Carlos Gomez popped out in the first. Brewers with one hit. Run coming on an error, though, on a misplay by Jock Peterson in center field. A liner from Segura that Peterson may very well have lost in the lights. Had a circle route to get to the ball and then dropped it.
Still having a tough time with it. I think it's in his head right now.
So call up last September. His playing time at this level very limited. Star in the Pacific Coast League, 30-30 player a year ago, the first in the PCL in some 80 years. He's getting his first real tour of big league parks. Two balls, one strike to Gomez.
And Miller Park a little bit unusual, particularly out there in center field with the way those walls angle back. You got the extra wide warning track, takes a little bit of extra work in batting practice. Considerably wider warning track here at Miller Park than most other ballparks.
And those angles, I know you and BA have talked about, part of the Robin Yount design, right?
Right, making it a more of a triples ballpark.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Gomez goes down swinging. 2 men out here in the third.
Yeah, you can save big on tickets when you bring your group of 25 or more to Miller Park this year. Group tickets start at just $9 and are available in block seating, all-inclusive areas with custom tailgate spaces and more. For details, visit Brewers.com/groups.
2 outs and the base is empty for Gerardo Parra. Took a called third strike in the first inning. The curve is in there for strike 1.
Yeah, Greinke throwing a lot of breaking pitches tonight. I mean, curveballs, sliders. He knows his Brewers club. Likes the fastball. Being careful with them. A lot of them are off the plate. He's dotted the eye a couple of times on Jeanette and one on Gerardo Parra, but really trying to establish off speed. Haven't seen many change-ups. He's seen a lot of this Brewers offense. He knows how they like to approach their at-bats.
Trying to beat his former club for the first time. 0-2 with an ERA of 4.76 against the Brewers. He was 25-9 as a Brewer. Big year in 11. And while he was with the club pre-trade in 2012, won 9 of his 12 decisions. Here's a ground ball to short. That's Rollins. Gold Glover will throw a little wide, but Gonzalez easily holds the bag, and the Brewers are out in order through 3, 1-0 Milwaukee. Hotel and Casino. There's your line score. Brewers off to a good start, getting a run in the second inning, courtesy of a Dodgers error. Matt Garza good through the first three. Now the middle of the order. Beginning with Adrian Gonzalez, who still has yet to have an official at bat in the series. Last night walked 3 times, was hit by a pitch, walked to begin the second inning tonight. Said it before, say it again. You be very patient, very careful pitching to this guy. Track in the Central tonight. Reds and Pirates, they're in the 6th. Cincinnati leading 4-1. And the Cardinals and Cubs scoreless in the 2nd. It's quite the night last night. St. Louis in a high-scoring affair, defeating the Cubbies.
Hey, Cardinals 12-2 at Busch Stadium this year.
Yeah, off to, I believe I heard, their best start over 25 games that they've ever had.
13 games over 500 coming into today's game.
Pop up in foul territory, and Ramirez unable to make the play right by the railing.
I'm not sure he knew where he was. He had room. Kind of looked up and looked down at the railing, and then just flat missed it. Overran it. Had a long way to go. He's playing where normally Segura is going to be playing.
So another chance for Adrian Gonzalez. A ball, 2 strikes.
You don't want to give this guy too many second chances.
See if Garza can take care of him anyway. Yeah, talking about the Cardinals, 19-6. They have won 7 straight. You mentioned their home field record. The Dodgers at home are 13-2. But they've lost 7 of their 10 road games, including last night. Cardinals with that win over the Cubs now lead Chicago by 5.5 in the Central.
Yeah, Cubs are leading just about that in that whole game.
Now Mark Reynolds with a slam for St. Louis. A lot of offense in that 10-9 win. And a curve, and that will be a strikeout. Didn't hold up, and they'll complete it on the throw to first. So a punch out of Adrian Gonzalez to begin the 4th.
Yep, on a pitch way out of the zone. You don't see that very often.
1 out here in the 4th. Justin Turner will settle in. Matt Garza has given up just the 1 hit. And it was to Turner in the 2nd inning.
Man, with 2 strikes on him.
Dodgers had a threat in that inning. Runners at first and third with 1 out. But Matt worked out of it. Strikeouts of Yasmani Grandal and Alex Guerrero.
Can you grow a beard like that?
It would take a long time.
Long time?
Long time. You?
I don't think so. I think it'd be all gray for sure.
Oh, I know mine would be.
It's popular again.
There's a fly ball hit back into left field. Lots of room for Parra. And that is out number 2. Yeah, I don't think. Well, there you go.
Good one.
See, it's in. No, it would probably take me a couple of years. And it would look terrible.
It looks good on young people.
It does. Adam Lynn right there. There you see. No, mine would be gray and patchy, and no.
This wouldn't look right.
No, I don't look right anyway. That's why I'm mostly on radio. Put a beard would not help. They had me there for a reason.
You don't see umpires with beards. I think they have a rule against it.
The clean cut rule. What was the last team? The Reds? Were they the Cincinnati Reds? Were they the last team where you, for the longest time, you?
Reds are Yankees, right?
Yeah, you're right. No beards, no mustaches, so that gentleman would have struggled. 1-1 to Andre Ethier. Back to Garza. Oh, nice play by Matt, and the flip on to first. Garza ready for yet another comebacker and another 1-2-3 inning for the Brewers starter tonight. As he is fielding his position very, very well. We're through 3.5. 1-0 the Crew. Baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. By Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. And by Hupy and Abraham. 1-800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business. 1-0 Brewers lead the Dodgers. Home half of the fourth inning here at Miller Park. And we welcome you to the broadcast booth alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Matt LePay, and we are happy to be joined once again by Brewers principal owner Mark Atanasio. And Mark, we thank you again for joining us. We had a chance to talk to you a couple weeks ago. And well, let's start with last night's game. How fun was that for you to watch a comeback against Clayton Kershaw?
May have been the first time I enjoyed a game all year, actually.
But it was good. If you're going to come back on somebody, do it against him, right?
Yeah, Mark, you were here a couple of weeks ago. You said you weren't in town thinking of really a managerial change. What happened over the last couple of weeks? You and Doug decided to make the change and go to Craig Counsell.
Yeah, no, I called it as I saw it. That 2 weeks ago, I was here to just check on the team.
Well, with a fly ball to center that Jock Peterson will play first out of the inning.
And at that point, there was no conversation at all between me and Doug about any kind of management changes. And Doug called me. I think he probably told you all this. He called me on the off day in Chicago and said he thought maybe it was time for a change. At that point, then we'd had several more losing series, and I think we'd won something like 5 games in the month of April. And I've read a lot in the last day or so about we're playing better and this and that, but 5 wins in a month is 5 wins in a month,
right?
And so and look at the respective roles in a team. When general manager comes to an owner and suggests making a change, I think the owner needs to take that seriously.
From your perspective, Doug obviously talked about it yesterday, but Mark is wondering from your perspective, what is it about Craig Counsell that is really appealing about him moving forward as the manager?
Well, there's It's interesting, you know, we had several conversations. Doug actually articulated for me, I counted 18 reasons he thought that Greg would be a good manager. And I'm not sure there's 18 reasons I'm a good owner. So. 13, 18 good reasons you guys are good broadcasters. But, you know, he's a demonstrated leader. He's been a leader in all the teams he's been on. He was a leader on this team. I saw firsthand in 2011. And, you know, that coupled with his passion for Milwaukee baseball, you know, when I talked to Craig over the weekend, he emphasized to me that he's been watching games here for 35 years. So he takes his commitment and responsibility to turning the team around very seriously.
Adam Lynn with a little pop-up down the line, and oh, what a catch by Justin Turner. The third baseman racing out and making a terrific play. 2 outs.
Now, one of the big differences before the Dodgers this year and last has been the defense. That's a heck of a play in foul territory. And Adam Lynn, tough luck. Mark, there seems to be a budding trend in baseball where, you know, teams, organizations are hiring managers that don't have a lot of experience. They haven't managed in the minor leagues and haven't been far removed from wearing the uniform and playing. You know, guys like Ausmus and Matheny and, you know, Robin Ventura, now Craig Counsell. Do you think that trend is going to continue?
Well, and you know, this came together very quickly. But as I thought through it in the conversations over the weekend, that the success that Matheny's had in St. Louis and Ausmus has had in Detroit certainly is something I reflected on. You know, more to the point, Craig has worked with Doug in the baseball ops group for, you know, 3.5 years, and he's kind of done it all there. He's done scouting in the Dominican. He's gone and scouted our minor leagues. He's thoroughly familiar with our system. And one of the things that's going to be important for this team, you know, going forward is to continue to develop, promote and develop young players. And I think he's going to have his a finger on the pulse of that.
You mentioned, Mark, when we visited with you a couple of weeks ago, and you said it here, you said it to reporters before the game. One of the things you're looking for on the field is for the veteran players, everybody, to play to his capability. It's a fairly short sample size since we last visited, but are you seeing some signs that are positive in that area here in the last week and a half or so? Just foul.
Yeah, well, it's Aramis Ramirez certainly is, you know, starting to hit like Aramis Ramirez can hit. Ryan Braun hit, you know, several home runs last week. Carlos Gomez is back. He was hurt, and he's kind of picked up at an all-star pace. So yeah, sure, we're starting to see that, and you know, the pitching has been better as well. And frankly, this is all we need. We just need these guys to do what they can do. We don't need them to perform beyond their capabilities.
And Ramirez takes a called third strike, and it is a 1-2-3 inning here for the Brewers. Mark, again, we appreciate your time. Glad you enjoyed last night. I hope you can keep enjoying this game here today.
So far, so good tonight.
So far, so good. Through 4 here in Miller Park.
Thanks, Mark.
1-0 Milwaukee. Waterby Hotel and Casino, top of the 5th in a good pitching matchup so far. 1-0 the Brewers lead the Dodgers. Matt Garza giving up just the one hit here so far. And again, we thank principal owner Mark Ananazio for joining us. I said it a couple weeks ago, repeat it tonight. It's pretty good when the owner of your team will come on in the good times and in times that aren't so good in transition. But
right.
He's out there, and
not many do.
No.
Other guys hide in situations like that, but not Mark.
Yasmani Grandal. Brewers got him out via the strikeout in the 2nd inning, and that is significant because he has really hit the Brewers, hit everybody of late. Now 7 of his last 10 overall. But swing and a miss on a fastball, 0-2. Only hit coming from Justin Turner in the 2nd inning for Los Angeles. A couple have reached via a walk. We hope that Matt's finding a groove here. Rocky talked about it with Rick Kranitz. The slider has become more effective. And Matt coming off a good outing in Cincinnati last week, off to a good start tonight.
It seems like his fastball is coming out of his hand much better. A little bit more zip on it, able to locate it, keeping it down and off the plate when he wants it. Hadn't been leaving pitches in the middle of the plate so much.
2-strike pitch to Grandal. That's well hit to left field. There's Parra on the run, and he'll have to play it off the wall. Grandal on his way to second as he continues to hit Brewers pitching.
Not a bad number 7 hitter.
No.
I mean, he's a guy that in a lot of lineups are going to be a little bit higher in that batting order, but down in the 7th spot. He's got some power. Look at that. One of the mistakes that we were just talking about that Garza hasn't made many of. Fastball up out over the plate and rips it. One hops it off the left field fence.
That's how inning number 5 begins for the Dodgers. Garza worked out of trouble in the 2nd inning. Grandal with a double here in the 5th. Here's Alex Guerrero. He struck out to end the 2nd inning, and he's behind a strike right now. He's made the most of his limited at-bats, 34 at-bats so far, but hitting a robust .353. Caught the corner for strike 2.
He likes that corner, that arm side fastball. The arm side or the plate for a right-handed pitcher. I mean, that's been a strike all night.
Home plate umpire Paul Emmel. 2 strikes and nothing to Guerrero.
He got away with a hanger right there. That was up. Not where you want to leave an 0-2 pitch.
First time Garza in his career has faced the Dodgers. So far so good, but let's see what he can do here in the 5th inning. Hanging zeros through the first 4, but Grandal with a double. There to start inning number 5, and an 0-2 count to Alex Guerrero. A little chopper, Segura with the runner advancing. Out number 1, Grandal to third.
Hey, this Mother's Day, treat Mom to a special day at the ballpark. The Brewers host the Cubs this Sunday, and all fans get a special Mother's Day bobblehank courtesy of Pick and Save. For tickets, call 414-902-4000 to go to the Brewers website, brewers.com.
There you go. Get your bobblehank.
Mother's Day coming up.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Look forward to it. Cubs in town. Grandal had to be looked at there briefly, favoring his left leg. He will remain in the game. So 1 out with a runner at third for Greinke. You mentioned it in our theme here, it seems, the last week or so about pitchers who can hit. Greinke 2 years ago hit .328. And there's a ground ball to short with the infield in. Grandal holds as Segura looks him back. 2 men out.
Yeah, that's why you bring the infield in. You hope that he doesn't hit one in the hole, but he hits it right at him. Greinke does a good job making contact.
I mentioned in his career he's homered 4 times, 2 times as a Brewer. But Garza retires him. The runner holding at third, back to the top of the order now as Garza will work against Jock Peterson. Struck out and walked so far tonight. Homer to lead off the game yesterday. Waiter walked but struck out his last 2 trips, including in the 9th to lead off that final inning against Francisco Rodriguez, who earned his 5th save in as many chances.
Well, he looked good yesterday, didn't he?
Wow. It was so important with that top of the order to avoid having anyone reach and bring Gonzalez to the plate. And Rodriguez put him down 1-2-3.
Yeah, Kendrick, he fell behind 3-0, able to get him on strikes.
Wrapped up an exciting night at the ballpark. Two balls, no strikes to the Dodgers center fielder. It's his error in the 2nd inning that led to a Brewers run, the only run of the game. Just played a fly ball, lost it in the lights, and then dropped it. 3-0 the count. Garza ready with the 3-0. Peterson was an 11th round pick 5 years ago. Called up last year, played in a total of 18 games, and his numbers were very, very modest. And part of the reshuffling here in this Dodgers organization opened the door for him to get regular playing time. And now Garza, who is down 3-0, battles it to a full count.
Yeah, good slider right after a fastball right on the edge on the outside corner.
Matt has walked 2. He has struck out 4. Trying to hold off the second Dodgers threat of the night. Turned him back in the 2nd. Here comes a 3-2. Line drive to right. Braun right there. Inning over. Good work again by Garza. Grandal a leadoff double. He is left stranded halfway through. Brewers 1-0.
by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Scooter Gennett leading off the 5th inning here for the Brewers, reinstated today from the disabled list with a laceration on his finger. And talking with Scooter about his time in Appleton with the Timber Rattlers, 4 games for him there. He went 4 for 13 with 1 RBI. He said he feels 100% ready to go, no issues with that finger. Said he feels like he hit some balls hard, so he feels like he got his swing back. Coming into this game, Scooter is hitting just .207, and Craig Counsell said, we need Scooter to get back on track. He was a big part of this offense last year. We will need him to do the same, to do that here now. And he said, you know, Scooter, he loves to see a guy like him go down and take the rehab assignment. He didn't need it necessarily for healing the injury, but he said it's about getting the at-bats in, taking advantage of the playing time so that he can step in right away and hopefully get back on track.
And if he doesn't, the Brewers have some guys that they might think they could fill in. And remember in spring training, the Brewers were considering having Scooter Gennett lead off. The big question was he was going to be able to handle left-handers, and got to get back to form, the form that we saw last year from him.
And perhaps a good start. Definitely a start there for Segura. Big turn at first, but a leadoff single for Scooter Gennett here in the 5th.
And the second base hit for the Brewers. That's a pretty tough pitch to handle, the way he was able to go top down, get on top of that baseball, and dump it into short left field. That pitch was about 6 inches off the outside corner.
Reached out and dumped it in the left. Squeezed on Jimmy John's delivery of the game, and this was Scooter Gennett with this fly ball to center that Jock Peterson apparently lost in the lights. Ball went off his glove, and that error allowed Aramis Ramirez to score. Gene Segura back in there for the Brewers after taking a 95-mile-an-hour fastball to the helmet on Sunday afternoon at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, good to see him hang right in there. That was a big question, whether he was going to be a bit timid and pulling off the baseball. Don't see any signs of that. It's only natural after getting hit in the helmet.
He had some turns at the leadoff spot while Carlos Gomez was out.
He's a tough young man. I mean, not just tough physically, but mentally.
You just think about what he has gone through, and you're right. You mentioned, the injuries, and he's taken a couple of pitches to the helmet this season. Not to mention what happened last year, and then the tragic loss of his child last July.
Remember getting hit in the head by Ryan Braun in the top step of the dugout last year. He's swinging a bat, drilled him right in the eye.
Still a very young man who's had to deal with a lot.
So apparently he can take a punch.
Yes, he can. Hitting .286. Throw over to first. Gennett has yet to steal. Neither of these teams in the first month running much at all. Brewers with 8 stolen bases coming in. Dodgers with 7. Certainly the Brewers have that capability to get the running game going when the opportunities are there to run. Greinke with a 1-1, and Segura trying to lay one down.
And again, you can't run when you don't reach base. I mean,
right.
The offense wasn't going much. Plus, you don't run a whole lot when you're down in the game, when you're behind. So maybe those things are going to turn around. The Brewers have been a little bit more aggressive on the bases lately.
Yeah, the Brewers in Chicago. Carlos Gomez stealing second and third. Segura with a stolen base. Leadoff single from Gennett here in the home half of the 5th. Both teams with just 2 hits. Good pitching matchup. Garza and Zach Greinke. Everybody knows about Greinke's quiet nature with the media, but Craig Counsell before the game talking to reporters and saying how he enjoyed being a teammate of Greinke's. Still like to talk, watch college games together.
As long as you're in that inner circle, as long as you have the uniform on. Hey, good teammate.
Swing and a miss. Segura Down on a breaking ball, out number 1.
But very protective, very isolated with everybody else.
Here's Martin Maldonado. Yeah, well documented. Zach is not one who particularly enjoys talking to media members, and he's honest when he does talk, but just doesn't have a whole lot to say. Teammates like having him around, and when you've gone 36-12 as a Dodger the way Greinke has, that certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, when he was with the Brewers, he would only talk on days after he pitched. The post-game media blitz after games that he was on the mound. That was it.
Greinke ready with a 1-0. And this is popped up. Howie Kendrick will call for it. 2 outs. They do talk a lot, and you would know this far better than I, about how much of a student of the game Greinke is. Very much into the craft. Enjoys studying the nuances of it, and likes watching other players, likes watching young players.
And down in the minor leagues, I mean, I know the Brewers allowed him up in the war room before the draft to see what goes on there, and he does study the game quite a bit.
Here's Matt Garza. Popped up his first at bat in the 3rd inning. Another good matchup here between the Dodgers and the Brewers. 1-run game last night, and a 1-run game at the moment here this evening. Brewer hits coming from Ramirez and Jeanette. And for the Dodgers, Justin Turner and Yasmani Grandal. That has been it. Here's the 0-2. For the record, looking for his first hit of this season is Matt Garza. Laid down a couple of sacrifice bunts through the first month, and chases one and got a piece of it. Grandal wasn't sure.
Yeah, he thinks, what do you mean foul tip? He didn't foul tip that.
Don Mattingly, who got the heave-ho last night. Can't argue balks, but he did, and he walked.
Kershaw was lucky he didn't get thrown out.
You're right.
Paul Emmel showed restraint last night, much to the chagrin of the Brewers. Doesn't look like he fouled it off.
Nope. Well, that was one last night where Mattingly maybe just took one for the team.
Yeah, he realized his pitcher was a little bit aggressive with the first base umpire. As you mentioned, you can't argue balks. Kershaw went down there, started to talk to the first base umpire, and then Mattingly just flew out of the dugout.
And Garza ends up striking out anyway. So a leadoff single from Jeanette. The Brewers unable to cash in. They still lead by 1. and by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. 1-0 Brewers lead the Dodgers. We move to the 6th inning at Miller Park. Matt Garza hanging a lot of zeros on LA here so far. It's worth another look. Presented by Columbia St. Mary's. Here's what Matt has done so far this evening. Jock Peterson led off last night's game with a homer. Struck out to start tonight's game. Garza going through that batting order. Even got Adrian Gonzalez. And he's fielding his position well, handling a couple of comebackers here so far tonight.
Yeah, he's had a good fastball, locating well. The curveball, he's thrown a couple of those. And once again, third consecutive start where Garza's had a good slider.
We'll see his pitch count through 5 innings. He's had a couple that have gone over 100, but it was a couple 3 weeks ago. Last outing against the Reds, 6 2/3, 97 pitches. 2, 3, and 4 in the Dodgers order. Jimmy Rollins leading things off. Rollins tried to bunt his way on in the first. Garza handled, and then a fly ball to left in the third. Hit in the air, left field. That's Parra. 1 out. He's in some rhythm right now. Talking about Garza. Here's Howie Kendrick.
Yeah, tough part of this lineup. Due up in this 6th inning. Good to get that first out and only 2 pitches.
Kendrick, the veteran, 31 years old, all-star back in 2011. He'll try to bunt his way on, but fouls him. Final year with the Angels was a good one. Played in 157 games. Hit 293, very consistent. He'll get you to between 290 and 300 more often than not. Shown double-digit home run power in his career, with a high of 18 in that All-Star year of 2011. Two strikes and nothing to the Dodgers' second baseman. To right field, long run for Braun, and that's a fair ball. Taking the turn is Kendrick, but Braun will hold him to a single.
Well, first hit for Kendrick. Hit the ball hard his first time up, and now dump one down the line. Ryan gets there quickly to hold him to first base. A little bit too much to the plate that time. It looked like Maldonado wanted it on the outside corner. Leaked over to the heart of the plate. Braun gets it in quickly.
One out, one on for the cleanup hitter, Adrian Gonzalez. Dodgers have mounted a couple of threats in the second inning. They had him at the corners with 1 out. Garza got back-to-back strikeouts, and in the 5th, Yasmani Grandal led off the inning with a double, but was left stranded at third. Have the big shift on for Gonzalez. Two balls, no strikes.
Got away with that one, huh?
Did.
Adrian Gonzalez doesn't show a lot of emotion and was shaking his head after that. Fouling that one off.
He and Todd Frazier each with 8 home runs. Garza's given up 2 homers in each of his last 2 starts. Trying to keep that number at 0 here tonight. chased one upstairs. He has walked 4 times. Gonzalez in the last 2 nights, also hit by a pitch. Struck out in the 4th. Just missed. Actually, a touch more than just, according to Fox Tracks.
Looks a lot closer when it's real speed, right?
It sure does. Gonzalez gave it a look, but been around the block for a time or two, didn't chase. And runners are at first and second with 1 out here in the 6th. Second time Gonzalez has walked tonight, and the 5th time in the series.
They're giving him a lot of breaking pitches, trying to put him away, but not able to find the strike zone with him.
So once again, a threat here for Los Angeles. Came to town having won 4 in a row, including a 3-game sweep of the Diamondbacks. Making their first trip of this season to the Central Time Zone. In fact, first trip outside the Pacific Zone. Here's Justin Turner with the first hit of the night for the Dodgers in the 2nd inning. 1 for 2. Mention again those numbers he had a year ago with runners in scoring position. 419.
He makes pretty good contact up there at the plate. Hits the ball where it's pitched.
Made a good defensive play at 3rd already tonight. Running down a foul pop off the bat of Adam Lind.
An opportunity to turn the double play. Not a lot of speed at first. Average speed at the plate. Got to get a pitch down in the zone. That slider down and away. See if he tries to pull it.
1-1 the count. Just inside. And being careful right here in a 1-run game. This is a Dodgers team with some star power. Turner may not be a star, but he's dangerous. In fact, he has homered in 3 of his last 5 games coming into this one tonight. Kendrick off the bag at 2nd. Gonzalez the runner at 1st.
And Garza trying to just keep him close, not trying to pick him off. Just maybe he doesn't get a big lead. He's not going to score on a hit.
And 3-1 the count.
Just not biting on those breaking pitches.
Nope. Showing a lot of patience. A Dodgers team that takes a lot of walks. There's Andre Ethier on deck. Here's the 3-1. In the air to center field. Gomez going back. He is at the wall. It's gone. Justin Turner with his 4th home run in the last 6 games. And the Dodgers take a 3-1 lead.
That fell behind him 3-1 and gave him a fastball. And Turner, he got under it. Got good extension, got under it, but it carries out of here at Miller Park. That's a can of corn at Dodger Stadium, but we're not at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, it'll fly a little bit more here at Miller Park.
Yep, not as deep. And Matt Garza realized it with Zach Greinke on the mound. That is a big blow right there.
Mentioned his 4th homer in 6 games, his 4th homer period this year. Justin Turner. RBI total now up to 9. Andre Ethier fouls it off. Well, the Dodgers break through here in the 6th. A 3-run homer off the bat of Justin Turner. Curve is away. Well, the Brewers played come from behind baseball last night against Clayton Kershaw, and they are asked to do it again tonight against Zack Greinke. Ethier holds up. Brewers bullpen starting to stir a little bit.
And 94, 95 pitches now for Matt Garza. He made the last out in the 5th inning.
There's Rob Wooten getting loose. In the meantime, a 2-2 count to Andre Ethier. So after Rollins fly to left field to start the inning, the last 3 Dodgers have reached, including the 3-run bomb from Justin Turner. Here's the 2-2. Got him swinging. Out number 2.
Yeah, good 2-seam fastball from Matt Garza, who's very upset with himself. And realizing that when you're facing guys like Kershaw, like Greinke, and those 3-run home runs are killers.
It's the 40th home run of the year for the Dodgers. It's the best in the National League. And ties them with the Astros for the most in the majors.
Yeah, the Brewers were able to get away with 3 walks and a hit batter to Adrian Gonzalez in last night's ball game. Not so much tonight. And you're not talking about household names batting behind Gonzalez in that lineup, right? Van Slyke
right.
Last night, Turner. But they're both getting the job done.
Yeah, they are. Gonzalez being patient at the plate.
Realize if he doesn't get a strike, don't bother. Leave it up to somebody else.
There's a ground ball over to second. Scooter will handle it, and that's it for the Dodgers. But LA gets on the board. Justin Turner, a 3-run homer. Bottom of the 6th, 3-1 LA. Casino 3-1 Dodgers. As you look at the sausage race, and to me, it's not so much who won, but who's not in the picture.
Yeah, Chorizo, a dead last, a very weak effort on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh. Well, come on now.
You figured he'd be a little bit more fired up than that. Still not. Oh, there he is.
Well, there's a little limp going there. Chorizo playing hurt tonight. Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to be critical of the Chorizo, but with the limp there, playing hurt, got to respect that. Top of the order for the Brewers is Carlos Gomez. First pitch swinging. The shallow right. Ethier takes care of it. 1 away.
Yeah, this Friday through Sunday, the Brewers host the Chicago Cubs in a weekend series that features 50% off tickets for Friday night's opener. A fan flag giveaway on Saturday and special Mother's Day bobble hank on Sunday. For tickets, visit Brewers.com.
Forward to the rematch. Brewers taking 2 out of 3 from the Cubbies down at Wrigley Field. Obviously their first trip to Miller Park here in 2015.
Yeah, Cubs and Cardinals tied in the 5th.
4-4 at Busch Stadium. Gerardo Parra trying to heat up again, carrying a hot bat into the lineup tonight. So he's had pinch hits each of his last 4 opportunities. I mean, big pinch hits, but came in also 8 for his last 16. Strikeout on a ground ball to short so far in this one. Curve swung on and missed. Boy, he can. That's a slow curve that Greinke will show you from time to time.
Yep, 70 miles an hour. He got all 4 pitches in his arsenal. Can go to any one of them at any time.
And you see the range. When he's on, that's a lot to deal with. Parra followed by Braun. Brewers trying to punch back here after the Dodgers hung 3 in the top of the inning. A Justin Turner 3-run homer.
Brewers started their rally last night in the 6th.
He did. Got on the board against Kershaw and then had the big 8th inning. And the way this team's going, just setting it up for the 8th. Had some fun in that inning in the last week. 2-2 pitch. Lifted to center field. Jock Peterson going back at the track, and he runs it down. Warning track fly from Parra. 2 outs in the 6th.
He still put a pretty good swing on it. Just got under it a little bit. He's seeing it pretty well right now. That's why he's in that lineup. Chris Davis hits this one out. And when you're not scoring a lot of runs, you got to play the hot hand. The bat plays.
That's what Craig Counsell was saying yesterday at his news conference. There's a lot, maybe way too much, can be made of how the lineup card looks night to night, or bullpen usage. I mean, he didn't invent it, but it's sometimes good to clarify. Just trying to win a baseball game. Figure out a way, get guys in the best position possible. Ryan Braun, good contact, but a line out to center. Brewers still down by 2. 7th inning. Saturday MLB on Fox Sports 1 returns a doubleheader of divisional rivalries, starting with the Royals taking on the Tigers and the Braves square off against the Nationals. Coverage starts at 11:30 a.m. Central on your home for baseball every Saturday. Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Matt Garza's night is done. Now on the mound for the Crew is Rob Wooten.
Yeah, third appearance for Rob since joining the Brewers on April 22nd. He was down in AAA. Pitched at Cincinnati last Monday, 3 innings, gave up 2 runs. And you see that 450 earned run average. Had a terrific spring, was one of the last cuts before the Brewers came to Milwaukee for opening day.
Yeah, the Brewers needed Wooten early in that game. It was a day where Jimmy Nelson just didn't have it, went just 2 1/3. Wooten gave him some innings. And he's out there tonight as we start the 7th inning. 8-9-1 in the order for LA. Alex Guerrero will lead things off. They've kept this hot rookie quiet so far. The rookie of the month. He is 0 for 2 tonight. A fly ball to center field. Gomez right there, 1 away. And now Zach Greinke is in a groove here this evening, but we're saying this about Clayton Kershaw, and then things turned as the game got late. Last night's starter for the Dodgers.
Same score going into the 7th as last night.
Greinke hit a comebacker in the 3rd inning, and then a ground ball to a drawn-in infield. Segura was able to make the play, and Strand Grandal at 3rd. Garza was able to work his way out of a couple of tough spots, but in the 6th, the Dodgers touched him up, and there's a liner to center field on the run, and chasing it to the wall is Carlos Gomez. And Zach Greinke, who can hit. We said it before, we say it again. It's his first double of the year.
Yeah, Wooten gave him a pitch that was right down the middle of the play, and check out the bat flip by Greinke. Like he knew it was coming, and he rips it over the head of Gomez. And that's going to be it for Rob Wooten. Even pitchers flip bats these days.
Been there before. Craig Counsell on his way to the mound, and a pitching change here in Milwaukee. 3-1 Dodgers, and they have a runner at second.
Tosses here in the 7th inning. Hey, the Brewers annual 5-county 5-day celebration continues all week long with 50% off tickets with the games against the Dodgers tomorrow through Thursday, as well as Friday night's opener against the Cubs. For details, visit brewers.com/5county.
Greg Counsell turning to the bullpen again, and now Neil Kotz try to keep this deficit at 2.
Yeah, saw Kotz last night against the Dodgers, tossed a scoreless 6th inning. Gave up a couple of hits, but also struck out a couple of batters in appearance number 11.
This Brewers bullpen over the last 8 games has hung up a 1.42 earned run average. We talked about it over the weekend. Sophia had a nice chat with Lee Tunnell, bullpen coach, about the development of this group and how all of them want the ball. And it's easy to tell there are times when those who don't, for whatever reason, but this is a confident group in this Milwaukee bullpen right now, and they need to bring it here tonight.
And early in the season, they really didn't have much of a routine in a winning scenario, but lately the Brewers have been able to pick up some wins. Gives that bullpen a lot of confidence.
1-1 the count to Jock Peterson. Walk struck out and line to right. Zach Greinke, who doubled, is the runner at second. Big cut.
Man, he does take a healthy hack up there. That slider ended up right down the middle. He pulled his head.
Lefty on lefty matchups have been golden for Neil Kotz so far. Hitters are 0 for 15 against him from that side of the plate.
Just don't throw that pitch again.
Here's the 1-2. Let me see what Peterson has done versus lefties. All that power coming against right-handed pitchers.
But they leave him out there. Give him a shot to face lefties.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch. And a throw down to second, and just getting back is Greinke. Oh, Maldonado with the laser down there to Gene Segura.
And look at the way he transfers that baseball while he's getting himself in position to throw. And Greinke just able to get back. Well, do the Brewers want to challenge it? Are they looking at it? Maybe want to look at the replay of it. I think Greinke was able to get back.
And the question is there enough there? And that'd be a tough one.
There's the tag right there. Yeah, I think he's on the bag.
That'd be a tough one to overturn.
Yeah, we'll see.
And they decide not to challenge. Yeah, that's a razor's edge right there. Two and two the count. Huge at bat right here. See if Kotz can dispose of Jock Peterson. The answer is yes. Struck him out.
Yeah, finally got one down in the zone. He was leaving him upstairs, allowing Peterson to get a piece of it. Down and away, out of the zone, and Peterson swings and misses. That's where you want that slider against a lefty. Down around the dirt.
As Peterson, a frustrated hitter.
Yeah, he had some good pitches to hit. He missed them.
So 2 men out. Here's Rollins. Greinke doubled. 1 out here in the inning. A big strikeout of Jock Peterson. Rollins tried to bunt his way onto the first. 2 fly balls to left in innings 3 and 6. Kotz trying to keep this scoreless string going for the Brewers bullpen.
Yeah, Rollins only 1 for 14 this year as a right-handed batter.
Oh and 2. Middle of the order coming up for the Brewers in the 7th. Kotz trying to keep the Brewers within 2. Dodgers with 5 hits, just 2 hits for the Crew. Here comes the 1-2. There's a drive, left field. Parra can only watch. It's gone. 5-1 Dodgers. Jimmy Rollins with a 2-run shot to give his team a 4-run lead.
Yeah, his second hit as a right-handed batter and his first 2 RBIs. Well, we talked about Rollins with that power. Has not had a lot of success that side of the plate, but again, Kotz not able to get the baseball down. That's the 3rd home run he's allowed this year. That slider just stays right in the middle of the plate, and Rollins hammers it.
So that snaps a string of 12 straight scoreless innings from the Milwaukee bullpen. The Dodgers get their 2nd home run of the night, 2nd in as many innings. Turner a 3-run shot in the 6th, and now Rollins a 2-run blast in the 7th. Howie Kendrick singled, started that 6th inning rally for LA. So they build on their league leading home run total, now 41. That matches them for the big league with 41. The Astros getting a Luis Valbuena homer tonight. So the Astros and the Dodgers, the early leaders in the home run category.
Everybody predicted that in
the Astros,
training, right?
Absolutely.
Well, how about the Dodgers too? I mean, not exactly a home run hitter's ballpark.
And of their 25 games, 15 have been at Dodger Stadium this year.
Houston tied for the American League lead in team earned run average at 3.08. They're tied with the Royals. Who would have thought?
They finally lost last night. Winning streak stopped at 10. The Astros are 18-8, and here on May 5th, have a 7-game lead. Now it's May 5th.
Nobody had that one.
No. Kendrick works Kotz for a walk, and now Adrian Gonzalez, who's done a lot of that in this series. He has walked 5 times, including twice tonight. Foul tip from Gonzalez. So Neil Kotz having a little trouble here in this 7th inning. So the Dodgers with this run total, this has been a magic 4 has been a magic number for LA. They score 4 or more. The Dodgers have not lost. They are 14-0. See if the Brewers can break that trend here tonight. 2-strike pitch coming to Gonzalez. Kendrick, the runner at first. You mentioned the Astros, the surprise of the American League. You know, the Mets have cooled off of late, but a 17-10 start with the injuries they've dealt with. The fact that the Padres are 14-13, that may not get your attention, but they're hitting so much better. They were really a bad hitting team a year ago. worst by far in the league.
No, it's a completely different team.
Yeah, it is.
Brought some hitters in, and they're scoring some runs.
Giants have been streaky. The world champs split their first 26 games. They had a big losing streak in the first couple weeks. A ball, 2 strikes to Gonzalez. Here's the pitch. Such a long way to go, but everybody eager to see how this Brewer team will handle the coming days and weeks. Craig Counsell in his second game as the manager. There's a fly ball back into center field, and that will leave the yard. Adrian Gonzalez punishes one to center. And a huge 7th inning for the Dodgers.
Well, the first home run for Gonzalez against a left-handed pitcher this year gives them a 7-1 lead. Well, 3 home runs, that's what they do, right? They hit homers. And this one way back up off that scoreboard. Almost hits himself in the face. That was a big fly. That was a big home run by Adrian Gonzalez.
Number 9 on the year, which gives him the lead in the National League, inching ahead of Todd Frazier. Justin Turner will step in now to face Kotz, who's given up a couple of big flies here in this 7th inning.
He just can't keep the baseball down in the zone. Leaving a lot of pitches up and a lot of the plate.
A 7-1 ball game. So Dodgers break it open, 3 in the 6th and 4 now in the 7th. What was a pitcher's duel, this plot has changed. The 2-0. Reds have knocked off the Pirates tonight 7-1. Cubs and Cardinals still tied at 4 in the 6th. Rio. Turner with that home run in the last inning gives him 4 on the year. And this inning of struggles continues for Neil Kotz.
A couple of walks, couple of home runs, and a strikeout for Kotz.
Brewers bullpen was quiet, but now starting to stir again.
Inning started with a fly ball and a double by Zach Greinke. And the Brewers are forced to get Jeremy Jeffress up in the pen.
8th man to hit here in this 7th inning, Andre Ethier. Ethier 0 for 3. Average still a 3.02. The Dodgers doing what they do best. And that's hit home runs here tonight. 3 of them. 2 this inning.
You never want to have to use your winning scenario bullpen guys in a game like this. Of course, this happened quickly. Rob Wooten came in, got an out, gave up a double. Then he got some lefties coming up. You bring in Kotz, he's just not able to keep the baseball down. And now, down by 6, you're probably going to have to bring Jeffress in.
Let's see if Kotz can get through, get this final out, this elusive final out. And it looks like he will. There's Segura. And finally the inning is over. But a 4-run 7th for the Dodgers gives him a 7-1 lead. inning. What they've done the last couple of innings, but now let's turn our attention to the Powerball home run leaderboard. Adam Lind in the thick of the chase right now with 4 home runs. Ryan Braun leads the way. The Brewers need to get the bats going right now, and that's a big ask against Zach Greinke, who has given up just the 2 hits and the 1 run. There's Scott Van Slyke in there in left field for Alex Guerrero. Lind will lead things off. A couple of pop-ups from Lind so far tonight. Zach Greinke coming into this game trying to beat the Brewers for the first time. But he has won each of his last 4 starts. Here for the Dodgers, a 1.93 ERA coming in. The Brewers' lone run coming on an error. Ramos Ramirez didn't lead off with 1 out. He singled to left, and so they came around to score on an error by the center fielder Jock Peterson, who misplayed a fly ball from Gene Segura. Good shape with the pitch count. Here's a 2-1. Lind, Ramirez, and Jeanette here in the home half of the 7th. There's the first walk given up by Greinke tonight.
Yeah, maybe that long layoff, right? Sat in that dugout for a while, actually ran the bases. Get something going on him.
There's a Ramos Ramirez, and been swinging the bat here of late. We look at the Powerball home run count. Watched that one early against the Chicago Cubs.
First pitch he saw after missing a couple of days.
Right back in the mix. So the first hit of this game, and one of the 2 the Brewers have. Singled in the 2nd inning off Greinke. With Ramirez, keep him healthy. Make sure he gets his rest, those days off from time to time. Hit safely in 8 of his last 10, actually 9 of his last 11 now. Where the power has come from. There's 3 home runs in that stretch, and 8 of his 10 RBIs over the last 11.
Well, the Brewers are going to need him to continue to stay hot for a while. He and Braun, top of the order, get on. Big boys drive him in.
And there's a ground ball to Turner. There's one on to first, and that's a double play. 5-4-3 in the double play, and just like that, 2 men out, bases empty.
Now Ramirez not running all that well. That slight strain of the hamstring and not able to get there, get him by half a step. Normally not a ground ball where you would expect them to turn a double play, but that hamstring still giving Ramirez a bit of an issue.
At the plate, presented by Wendy's, Scooter Gennett, his first game back with the big club, coming off the disabled list, a strikeout in the 2nd and a single in the 5th inning. Got some good at-bats with the Timber Rattlers. Back off that cut in his hand. Trying to get into a groove here and prove to his manager Craig Counsell that he can put him in the lineup on a regular basis.
It's good that he went down to the minor leagues to get some at bats. I mean, you like that in a player. They don't have to go. Elected to go down there, get some at bats, so he's ready when he comes off the disabled list.
Here's a chopper to third. Another chance for Turner. that'll do it for the Brewers in the 7th inning. A leadoff walk, a double play, and a ground out. We're through 7. 7-1 the Dodgers. Last 2 innings lead the Brewers 7-1. And now on the mound for the Crew will be Jeremy Jeffress.
Yeah, 15th appearance for Jeremy. He's been in a lot of games so far this year, up amongst league leaders in the NL out of the bullpen. A 284 earned run average. And has been able to post a 208 opponent batting average. So good work out of the pen for Jeremy Jeffress so far.
Yasmani Grandal will be leading things off. This Brewers bullpen, as we said, has been very good of late, but tonight broke down in the 7th inning. And the Dodgers with home run power, 2 long balls in the 7th, a 3-run homer from Turner in the 6th, accounting for their scoring. Grandal with a hit tonight, a double in the 5th inning. Was left stranded at 3rd. Grandal 4 for 7 in this series, had 3 hits last night. And a strike from Jeffress. Dodgers trying to win on the road for what would be just the 4th time. They come into this game. Don Mattingly's team has lost 7 of its first 10 away from Dodger Stadium. They have been dominant at home, 13-2.
That's something. Most wins of any team in Major League Baseball at home this year.
After that 16-9 start to lead the National League West. Jeffress brings it at 96. 1-2 the count. There it is, breaking ball, strike 3 called.
Yep, the equalizer for Jeremy. When he's throwing that for strikes, he is tough. Able to drop that one in the strike zone.
Here's what's on tap, presented by Miller Lite. Don Mattingly, excuse me, shuffling the deck. Joe Whelan will be starting tomorrow for the Dodgers against Willie Peralta. Our coverage 6:30 right here on Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Yeah, Whelan coming up from the minor leagues. He's made 5 starts between 2 years as a member of the Padres.
We've moved Carlos Frias, who was originally scheduled for tomorrow. He'll go on Thursday afternoon. Scott Van Slyke came in, defensive replacement in the 7th inning and left. A lot of wheeling and dealing with this Dodgers team. Andrew Friedman, the president of baseball operations, coming over from the Rays, and Farhan Zaidi, after a decade in the A's organization, made a ton of moves. Two-strike pitch. Once the Dodgers been dealing with a lot of injury issues in their starting rotation. Brandon McCarthy headed for Tommy John surgery. Hyun-Jin Ryu still working his way back. Battled injuries last season. Hoping maybe toward the end of the month. Been working, pitching some bullpen sessions. But they still have Kershaw and they still have Greinke.
Pretty good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, as you see, Greinke is getting ready to hit again. Why not? He's given up just a run on 2 hits, and he can hit.
2 guys like that at the top of your rotation, you stay out of long losing streaks.
That has certainly been the case with Greinke, who has won his last 9 decisions. His last loss was here at Miller Park last August. And he's doubled tonight. 2-2 the count to Scott Van Slyke. And he goes down swinging. Jeffress with a couple of strikeouts here in the 8th.
97 for Jeremy Jeffress on that last fastball. Right down the middle.
And that's more like it. Only been seen lately out of that Brewer bullpen. Greinke doubled in the 7th inning. And that started the whole mess.
Yeah. Guerrero flew out. Greinke doubled, and then things started to unravel after a Peterson strikeout. All that mess coming with 2 outs.
And Jimmy Rollins a 2-run homer. And Adrian Gonzalez a 2-run homer. So that's where we are with the Dodgers leading big in the 8th inning. Gonzalez his 9th home run of the year. 1-1 pitch. Greinke keeps getting his cuts in there. Mention his record, 36-12. That's his record, but when he starts, the Dodgers are 45-20. One-two, breaking ball fouled away. He's been really good following Dodger losses. It's the 4th time he's had that role where it's worked out that way. In the first 3, he's given up all of 3 runs in 20 innings. As strong a number 2 man in the rotation as you'll find. 1-2.
He's not an automatic out up there at the plate. He's taking some pretty healthy hacks. He's always taking a lot of pride in his hitting.
Homered against the Giants, one of the 4 in his career, the most recent last year in San Francisco, the middle of September. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This is game 2 of 4. Mentioned here tomorrow night, and then Thursday afternoon they'll wrap up the series. 2-2 pitch.
Making him work, isn't he?
Say one of those pitchers who's grinding out at bats.
Pitch number 8 coming up.
Cardinals have the lead. Middle of the 7th inning, 6-4 over the Cubs. trying to extend what is a 6-game winning streak now for Matheny's team. There you go. Greinke grinded out an at bat. That's exactly what he's doing here. Pitch number 9 in this at bat coming up. Jeffress back-to-back strikeouts to begin the inning. And did he hold? No, he did not. Jeffress strikes out the side here in the 8th. Long battle. Jeffress wins it. The Dodgers lead 7-1.
Coming up after the ball game, 7-1 though, the Dodgers leading Milwaukee right now. And Augie, one of the bright spots we just saw, Jeremy Jeffress, Marshfield Clinic shining moment, striking out the side of the 8th.
Yeah, you know, one thing you want to do as a reliever, you want to come in, you want to throw strikes, get ahead of hitters, and that's one thing that Jeremy Jeffress has done all year. You look at him and getting the first people out, the guy you want to get out in the inning, he's 8 of 14. That's a good ratio.
Yeah, 15 appearances already for Jeffress on the season. So the Brewers need to rally big late here. They were able to do it yesterday. Their deficit not nearly what it is right now, though. So work to be done. We'll see how it all turns out on Brewers Live post game.
All right, Craig, Augie, thank you much. Yep, tall order now. Zach Greinke very much in rhythm. Brewers got a leadoff walk in the 7th inning, but a double play and a ground ball quickly put an end to any thoughts of a rally, at least in the 7th. Let's see what they can do in the 8th. 7, 8, 9 in the order. Gene Segura reached on an error and struck out. The shortstop, Rollins, 1 out.
When you think about the health of your bullpen, you know, as the season goes on, you look at guys like Greinke and Kershaw, back-to-back starts. You got to figure that most of the bullpen is going to get the day off when those 2 guys are out there on the mound. And you think what dividends that pays as you get into August and September. All the innings that the 2 of those guys eat up, that's a big help to your whole team.
Without a doubt. And it's a team that wanted to make some corrections in their bullpen on those occasions where Greinke and Kershaw are not the starters, because they've had some issues with the rest of that rotation. Yeah, that's been a big part of the reshaping of this Dodgers look last year to this.
It's not often you make as many changes as the Dodgers did after making it to the postseason, winning 94 games.
Absolutely. But they
felt like they had to shake it up a little bit. They're off to a good start.
Well, the word is the chemistry is a lot better, and you know, it's a term you hear a lot in sports, but They have some good veteran leadership, guys who've been around a long time. Those middle infielders with Rollins and Kendrick. What they bring, not to mention the 4 Gold Gloves that Rollins brings, and Kendrick at nearly a decade with the Angels. Maldonado goes down swinging. Greinke rings up his 7th of the night.
Yeah, Greinke's earned run average is down to 1.58. He has not allowed an earned run here tonight.
The only run coming when Ramirez came around on an error. Segura with a fly ball that Jock Peterson misplayed, dropped it, looked as though he lost it in the lights. Greinke not bothered by that. He's been rolling since. Elian Herrera takes a curve for ball 1. Herrera in a pinch hitting role tonight. He started 9 times at second. So he can play a lot of positions for you. That grand slam he hit in that last homestand. Wild game with the Reds. The 1-1. Greinke trying to beat his former team for the first time. I guess he's found the coffee back to his liking just to this point.
All about the coffee. Good coffee here at Miller Park.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, right.
Says little, does a lot.
Kind of typical Zach Greinke, though. When somebody asks him a question like that, how do you explain your success at Miller Park? He kind of thought about it for a second. Must be the coffee. Good coffee here. Who knows why? I mean, it's just one of those things, right?
15-2, his Miller Park record. Cy Young year back in 09 at a 2.16 ERA. Even better than that the first month of this year.
That's ball 4.
Yep.
You're
allowed to go.
Sure.
You're allowed to go.
Take off. Second walk issued by Greinke, and only the second walk issued by Dodger pitching so far in this series. Did not walk a batter last night.
And with a pitch count at 103, Don Mattingly on his way to the mound. And a good night's work for Greinke. It's to be coming to an end. It's a pitching change here. Like Pedro Baez ready to come in for the Dodgers. Zach Greinke will exit with his team leading 7-1 as we continue at Miller Park. here in Milwaukee, and it's been a very good night for Zack Greinke as we take a look at what he has done against his former club tonight. Well, some nights the really good guys are really on, and that's the case once again with Greinke as you look at the numbers.
Yeah, looking to go 5-0. He's got a 6-run cushion to work with. Only giving up singles to Ramirez. That was in the second. And Scooter Gennett, a leadoff single in the fifth. 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 1 run unearned. And another very good outing for Zack Greinke as Pedro Baez continues here in the 8th inning. 12th appearance for Baez at .245 earned run average. Struck out 15 batters in 11 innings. That's over 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. So this guy can bring it.
Not bad for a former third baseman. Originally signed with the Dodgers back in '07. He was a third baseman much of his time in the minors, and then by the time he was in Double-A, the progress had stalled to the point where he said, hey, be a pitcher. So that's what he became a couple of years ago. Trying to wrap up this 8th inning. Carlos Gomez at the plate. Elian Herrera, the runner at first. Gomez with a big hack and a foul ball. He has popped up, struck out, and flied to right. Slowly but surely, the Brewers getting back to health. Jonathan Lucroy continues on the mend. Gomez coming off the DL this past weekend. Gennett back in action tonight. They've run into a stone wall on the mound. Greinke and now Baez here in relief. Bringing in at 97.
It's a 9-man bullpen for the time being for the Dodgers. That might change tomorrow. Wheelan coming up. Probably going to have to make a move with somebody in the pen, but still 8 relievers is quite a lot.
A lot of mixing and matching going on with his Dodgers pitching staff. Kenley Jansen, their closer, continues to work his way back into the fold. A ball, 2 strikes to Gomez. Tried to check it. Unsuccessful doing so, and that will do it for the Brewers here in the 8th inning. We leave a man. We're through 8. 7-1 the Dodgers. To the 9th inning. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Book your stay now. Talked about the Brewer bullpen and how good it's been. There's a big reason why. Michael Blazek on now for the Crew in the ninth.
Yeah, pitched last night, earned his second win of the season with 2 scoreless innings. Has not allowed a run in his last 9 appearances. That covers 11 in the 3rd innings. And check out this. Opponent batters are only 1 for 34 against Blazek this year.
That is amazing. And he has.
Actually, that's in that 9 scoreless appearance stretch.
Right.
My mistake.
But yeah, 1 for 34 in that stretch. I mentioned the bullpen. Now the numbers are going to change here tonight, but the last 8 games coming into tonight, a 1.42 ERA. And Blazek's had a lot to do with that number being down. Jock Peterson. A quiet night for him. A walk in the 3rd inning, couple of strikeouts. Struck out a couple of times last night. Jeremy Jeffress comes in the 8th inning and strikes out the side.
And Blazek got to deal with the top of the order.
1 strike pitch, and quickly out in front. 0-2 on Jock Peterson.
Yeah, took a little off, 91, and he just likes to pull that baseball. He's been pulling his head this entire night.
He's showing a little frustration at the plate. Another powerful member of this Dodgers lineup. The Dodgers have played long ball 3 times tonight. 3-run homer from Justin Turner, 2-run shots from Rollins and Gonzalez. Jerry Neals over at 3rd, the crew chief. Sam Peterson held up. Here's the 2-2. Had a pitcher's duel going on tonight. The Dodgers with the 3-run 6th and the 4-run 7th. Matt Garza started, went 6. Gave up 4 hits, 3 runs. Big home run off the bat of Turner. Rob Wooten charged with a run in his 3rd of an inning, and Neil Kotz gave up 3 2/3. Full count now to Peterson. And we'll do it again. Brewers ninth will be Parra, Braun, and Lind. Again, the 3-2. And then Peterson's on. Cardinals have tacked on a run. They now lead the Cubs 7-4 in the 8th inning. So a leadoff walk to Peterson. Here's Jimmy Rollins. Launched a 2-run homer his last trip, as the Dodgers broke the game open in the 7th.
He's had a tremendous career, hasn't he, Jimmy Rollins?
Really has.
First year that he has not been with the Phillies.
2nd round pick, the Phillies, back in '96. 15 years. That's in the MVP season, a 3-time All-Star. Led the league in steals 14 years ago at 46. He can still hit, still pick it. Looking for him to hold things down. It's short, and that again, that veteran leadership, productivity, but the locker room presence. There's a bouncing ball. Lynn will flip to second. The for one on to first, and not in time. A tough turn right there, but to get the force of Peterson. And one out.
Yeah, the advantage of having a left-handed throwing first baseman makes that throw to second much easier. Lynn's showed a very good glove at first base. I think the Brewers knew he was going to hit. I think they've been surprised somewhat with his defense, and the good news so far, the back has been feeling pretty good.
Yeah, no issues there. So far, so good through the first month. Here's Howie Kendrick.
Hey, talk about Jimmy Rollins, and I'm sitting here looking at his statistics. I think he's falls short of Hall of Fame status. Coming in, Rollins, 887 RBIs, almost 500 stolen bases.
The 4 Gold Gloves.
Yeah, tremendous defensively, he could run. A career 267 hitter.
Which that number, I guess, to some could work against him, but he's so good defensively.
It probably falls just a bit short.
Yeah, I think there would be conversation. Probably spirited in some circles, but it's the consistency of his play, and so just looking for him to hold things down. They have a young man in their system, Corey Seager, who Dodgers very high on, very highly regarded across baseball. 1-2 to Kendrick. Another one of those players providing the veteran leadership. Another one of those moves made by this aggressive Dodgers organization. Trade with the Angels in December.
Thinking this is their year.
2-2 pitch coming. Breaking ball fouled back. Got Seager, the player they're really high on. He was a first-round pick 3 years ago. So they have the veterans and some highly touted prospects waiting in the wings. 2-2 pitch. Speaking of prospects, the Brewers announcing their players of the month in the organization. Clint Coulter, catcher last year with the Timber Rattlers, now in the outfield with the Brevard County Manatees. Off to a real good start at the plate at .325. And Brooks Hall with Biloxi, the pitcher of the month.
Yep, 3-0, 123 earned run average. Not too bad.
Good battle going on here. Blazek versus Kendrick. Yeah, Coulter, month of April, hit .325. Showing power, went deep 6 times. We had a chance to visit with him here in the booth last September. Big, strong kid. And making that position switch from behind the plate to the outfield. Hasn't hurt his hitting at all.
That first round in 2012. Clint Coulter.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Rollins the runner at first. That scoots him back. Dodgers 7 runs, like number of hits. One error they committed resulted in the Brewers' lone run. Milwaukee with just 2 hits in this game. Here's the payoff. Little chopper. This will be a tough play. Ramirez, there will be no play. An infield hit for Howie Kendrick, and now runners are at first and second.
Not much you can do about that one right there. A little swinging bunt will be a base hit for Kendrick. He'll take it.
It's like a line drive in the box score, right?
Yep. Well, he hit a line drive his first time out that was caught by Braun. So, well, he's even for the night.
There you go. Here's Adrian Gonzalez at his 9th home run of the year in the 7th. 2-run shot. Garza struck him out of the 4th. It's the only time that Gonzalez has been retired in this series. He has walked 5 times, been hit by a pitch, struck out, and homered. Top 3 in the National League in batting average, .365 at the moment.
Yeah, that home run that he hit, one of the longest we've seen here this year. Maybe in a few years.
Yeah, that was crushed to center.
High off that scoreboard in center. So Russell Branyan hit some home runs in this ballpark to right center.
Two balls, no strikes. Yeah, the 9 homers that Gonzalez has hit, 5 came in the first 3 games. He was launching right out of the gate. 3 home runs for this club tonight, giving him a National League best 42 on the year. 3-0 pitch.
Kind of the unwritten rules in baseball. I guess 6-run lead, not that big of a deal, but normally with a big lead, you don't swing at 3-0 pitches, you don't steal, you don't bunt for base hits when you have a big lead. Now, these days, 6 runs, I'm not sure all bets are off at that point.
Popped up. Ramirez will call for it.
The reason I say that because ordinarily I would think Adrian Gonzalez might be hacking at that 3-0 pitch.
Swinging the bat the way he is, if you get something you like, and he hasn't had a lot of that. Yeah, you're right.
Well, we've seen a lot of 6-run leads evaporate over the course of the last few years. So a lot of those rules of thumb are out the window these days.
Yeah, even and it's ironic because scoring being down, but those rallies are still there. And I think now it's just with the wild card, with more playoff slots open, every game is just so huge, and you get a chance to win.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes etiquette, or what you think is etiquette, gets tossed aside. You just got to win, get yourself in.
The Nationals had a big comeback, right, last week?
Yes, sir. And there have been slugfests this season. We're talking about the Cardinals and Cubs. They had a 10-9 game last night. Saw 16-10 here in the last homestand, so you never know. Justin Turner, and that's going to slip through. It is stopped by Jeanette. Coming home is Rollins, and he is in. Runners at first and third as Turner with his 4th RBI of the night.
How about the 2 hits in this inning?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're making contact. I mean, you give them that. And you see the shift. You had Scooter up the middle. It's almost like Turner was trying to shoot that hole. He got jammed and able to muscle it far enough. Good hustle out there by Rollins to score. On a baseball that Jeanette, you're told to try and knock it down, keep it in front of you with a man at second and 2 outs. Ordinarily, you're going to keep the run from scoring, but on the shift like that, so deep, he's able to score anyway.
So a pitching change here at Miller Park as the Dodgers lead the Brewers 8-1. Top of the ninth, and now Will Smith will come on to try to finish this top half of the inning.
Well, 13th appearance for Will, a 208 earned run average. Saw Smith in the game, last game in Chicago. Struck out the only two batters that he faced. Actually, the only batter that he faced, that was Anthony Rizzo.
Couple big strikeouts on that last road trip in key situations. Got Votto in a big moment. Joey Votto in the game last Wednesday afternoon in Cincinnati. Michael Blazek gives up a run that ends his scoreless outing streak at 9. Had to happen sometime. Those ridiculous numbers he had going in that stretch. Opposing hitters 1 for 34. Here's Andre Ethier. Just like that, it's 0-2. Back at it tomorrow night. And then Thursday afternoon, they wrap up the series, and then the Cubs come to town. 2-strike pitch from Will Smith. In the air to center. Here's Gomez. And that'll wrap it up here in the ninth. But the Dodgers put another run on the board. 8-1 LA. Tough night here for the Brewers. Bottom of the ninth we go with the Dodgers out in front 8-1. Zach Greinke terrific. Pedro Baez good in his opportunity. And now Daniel Coulombe on the mound for the Dodgers.
Yeah, he got called up yesterday from AAA Oklahoma City, where he had pretty good numbers. Collected 16 punch outs and notched a save in 8 relief appearances down in the minor leagues. He was used in 5 games last year for the Dodgers.
25 years old. Dodgers drafted him the 20th round 3 years ago. Now he gets a chance to wrap this one up. Parra, Braun, and Lind here for the Crew in the 9th inning. Very, very quiet night for the Brewers offense. Just 2 hits. A single from Ramirez in the 2nd and a single from Jeanette in the 5th. In the air, shallow center field, and Jock Peterson will squeeze it. 1 out. Brewers 1 run coming on a misplayed fly ball by Peterson. Zach Greinke goes 7 2/3, gives up 2 hits, and the run he allowed was unearned. Matt Garza started, went 6, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. Here's Ryan Braun.
Yeah, Greinke's earned run average down to a little, right around 1.5 right now. It's been a tremendous start to his season.
Greinke, each of his last 2 starts were losing ones here at Miller Park, but he has turned that around tonight. Braun lined to center in the 6th inning. Fly ball and a comebacker as well. Well, Craig Counsell has seen the extremes here in his first 2 games as the manager. Dramatic comeback win last night. Barring a big rally, seeing a night where his squad doesn't have it. And the other guy, to his credit, Greinke, was on his game in a big way.
Yeah, I said before the game, talking to Craig about the game last night, relied heavily on his coaching staff. You know, Rick Kranitz regarding the pitching. You see he talking to Johnny Nairn, or Jerry Nairn, I should say.
Yeah, there's Rick Kranitz right there. Yeah, Counsell saying yesterday that we're going to rely heavily on that group, and specifically Jerry Nairn. Braun is on. 1 out walk here in the 9th. See, it's good for Craig to have a veteran who's been there, done that, been a manager with Nairn.
Probably discussing whether they might want to get a pinch hitter for Scooter Gennett. If I were a guessing man, if you're Craig Counsell, do you give Scooter the opportunity to get an at-bat in this kind of a game down by 7 runs, or do you go to a pinch hitter?
You have Lind and Ramirez and then Gennett.
That would be my guess.
Yep. And Braun will advance on defensive indifference. Oh, and 1 the count to Lind, who walked in the 7th. Daniel Coulombe on the mound for the Dodgers.
Pretty good breaking pitch.
Yeah, it is.
And Dodgers going to make a roster move tomorrow, and I would imagine one of those relief pitchers is going back down to the minor leagues.
Two-strike pitch.
I don't think I've ever seen a team start a series with 9 relief pitchers.
Oh, it was. You get that lineup sheet, and you're like, what?
It'll go down to 8, but 8's still a lot.
Yep, he's Don Mattingly just trying to find a way to make it fit. There's that lineup card. 1-2. The ground ball to Kendrick. And as Braun moves to 3rd, there are 2 men out in the 9th.
That was the Brewers' first at bat with a runner in scoring position tonight.
How about that? It's the way it's gone tonight for an offense that was heating up a bit. And when I say that, it would sound odd with 4 runs last night, but you have to consider who they were up against and then the timely hitting. What the Brewers have had of late. 5-3 win on Sunday in Chicago, and Ramirez with the big bases loaded 2-run single in that game. And Braun, an infield hit that brought home Gomez last night, and there's a rip down the line, and that's extra bases for Ramirez. Braun will score. Ramirez on his way to 2nd with an RBI double.
Now, didn't mess around, did he? Got a fastball, and Ramirez didn't waste it. Not about to let that one go by. Middle in and rips it down the line. Coulombe doesn't throw all that hard. And the Brewers with their 2nd run.
Well, as you thought might be the case, Rock. Kind of wondering what, or guessing. I think you were more than guessing what Craig Counsell was talking about. And the pinch hitter indeed for Scooter Gennett. Here's Jason Rogers. And 2 outs. Ramirez the runner at 2nd. Rogers last night played first and hit second in the order. Went 0 for 4, struck out a couple of times. Those rare nights where his bat has been quiet when he's been in there. It hasn't been a ton. He's been productive. There's a ground ball to Justin Turner. And a high throw, but Gonzalez pulls it down, and that will wrap it up here at Miller Park tonight. Well, Zach Greinke was superb, and the Dodgers got their home run bats going, including those two guys, Justin Turner and Adrian Gonzalez. As Don Mattingly's Dodgers now even this 4-game series, a win apiece, as the Dodgers win it tonight 8-2. Time now for Brewers Live postgame. Let's set it down to Craig Kashawn and Jerry Augustine.
All right, Matt, thanks very much. Dodgers even up the series. We'll catch up with Craig Counsell, his thoughts on his second game as a manager. Dominant performance as well from Zach Greinke. We'll break it all down next.